I'm Sari.
And I'm Haley.
And this is Seamwork Radio. Welcome back to Seamwork Radio, where we share practical ideas for building a creative process so you can sew with intention and joy. Today, we're talking about our absolute favorite fabrics for fall sewing. So we're going to cover what makes these fabrics perfect for autumn, the types of projects that work best with each one, and the specific garments we are planning to make with them right now. So if you're ready to start planning your fall sewing, this episode is going to give you so many ideas. All right, let's start with our icebreaker today, Haley. Tell me about a fabric that completely surprised you, either because it was amazing to work with when you didn't expect it or because it was trickier than you thought it would be.
You know, sometimes with these icebreaker questions, I really have to pause and think about the answer before we start recording. This one I knew instantly. A fabric that really surprised me in a good way was merino wool jersey.
Mm-hmm.
When I first discovered it, I was living in LA and there was a fabric store there called The Fabric Store. It still exists. It is out of New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And they have amazing merino wool jerseys. And when I first went to the store, I'm like, I live in LA. What business do I have buying wool jersey? And then my friend Christine bought some wool jersey and it was amazing. And I was like, next time I'm going to get some. And I did. And I sewed it and I wore it. First of all, it's lovely to sew. It's kind of grippy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really need pins with it. It kind of grips to itself. And it's so nice to wear. And it comes in so many different weights that even if you live in a warmer climate, it's great. Wool's really temperature regulating. So now it's if I want to splurge on a good jersey, that is my go-to fabric.
That's funny you mentioned that because I actually went to the fabric store with Christine Haynes.
Yeah, it was she lived near it. So
yeah, we met up one time and we went there together, fabric shop. It was such a beautiful store too.
So gorgeous.
It was so pretty. I've been to the one in Sydney, Australia as well, which was also beautiful and even bigger. It's an amazing stores.
They do a really good job curating the selection.
They do. And you can shop them online.
You can.
So if you're looking for merino wool jersey, they're a great place to shop.
Yep. I am already eyeing some things for fall. So.
Yeah. I've been thinking about too. I still have some of the fabrics I bought there when I was in Sydney. This was well over 10 years ago. And I just have not found the perfect use for them. I have one it's like a fleece back merino wool, very cozy, and it's in sort of a plum color, which is not a color I wear a ton.
Oh, but it would look so good on you.
I think it would look nice, so I might try to incorporate that this fall or maybe this winter. It's a nice winter color.
It is
as well. Well, a fabric that really surprised me was I once sewed with this fabric, which I thought was a rayon, but I think it actually ended up being a polyester because I bought this fabric when I was traveling and it was like a black on black kind of textural polka dot.
Okay.
And with a shiny and matte texture to it. And I don't know if it was labeled as rayon or if I just thought it was rayon, but when I started sewing with it, it did not press well at all. But the really hard thing about it was that it shredded like crazy. The edges were just shredding and fraying like nothing I'd ever seen before.
Sounds synthetic to me.
Yeah, it was so hard to work with. It was kind of a nightmare. So that was the biggest surprise to me. Sometimes you don't know what you're getting with fabric, especially when you're shopping in, smaller fabric stores where everything is not exactly labeled. And that was a lesson to me. Be a little bit more careful about the fabric content, even if it's a mystery fabric. Maybe just take a look at those edges and see if it's something that's going to be hard to work with.
Yeah, do a little burn test.
Yeah. You can also kind of, in terms of the pressing, you can take it and finger press it and see it doesn't hold a press at all.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, with polyester or with synthetics, you want that wrinkle resistance, but other times it's just hard to work with depending on what you're making.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So if you have an icebreaker question for us for a future episode, you can leave it in a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll answer it in a future episode. We'd love to hear from you guys if you have any questions for us. All right, let's get into our fabric discussion today. So, fall is honestly my favorite time of year for sewing. Even though I love summer, fall is definitely my favorite time. There's something just about that shift into cooler weather that makes me want to dive into all those really cozy, textured fabrics that have been sitting in my stash all summer. And I love how fall fabrics have this perfect balance. They're warm enough to keep you comfortable, but not so heavy that you feel completely bundled up. Plus, there's such a gorgeous range of textures available for fall sewing. I just love it. You've got everything from soft knits to crisp wools to those rich tactile fabrics like corduroy and velveteen that we're going to be talking about today. I think fall fabrics also tend to be more forgiving for beginners because they often have more body and structure than some summer fabrics, which makes them easier to handle depending on what you're sewing. The thing is that with so many beautiful options out there, it can be overwhelming to know where to start or what projects work best with each fabric. I think we mentioned this in a recent episode, but there's just a wider range of fabrics with fall fabrics compared to at least the fabrics I choose to sew with in the warmer months, and that can get a little bit overwhelming. So today, we're going to break down our top 10 fall fabrics and give you some really specific ideas for what you could make with each one, just as a jumping off point for your own fall wardrobe plans. So, Haley, do you have any go-to fall fabrics, just like one you reach for over and over again?
In the fall, I really tend towards sewing knitwear. I think that I just get really excited about all of the fall layering, and knitwear is so great for layering. So merino wool jersey, like I mentioned before. I also feel like it's such a mixed bag weather-wise that I love something like French terry because lots of times they're in the fiber content is cotton or something like that, and you can get them in a variety of weights because I'm always trying to consider the range of temperatures in the fall and also the longevity. Lots of the things I make in the fall, I also want to be able to wear through the winter seasons. So I think those are probably my two go-tos. What about you?
I love sewing with wool. I think fall is such a great time to break out the wool fabrics. So that's something that I do find myself sewing with a lot in the fall, different types of wool. I really like wool crepe, which is something I think a lot of people either haven't sewn with before or they just don't know about, but it's a very lightweight wool. And it's nice for making those kind of drapier designs so that you can take something that's a little bit drapier and make it in a really warm fabric. So I really, really like that. But there's just so many great fabrics in the fall that you can choose from. Again, there's that huge variety, and that's what I really appreciate about it the most. So I don't know that I have one, but that's definitely one that I really, really like.
Yeah, wool crepes are lovely.
Yeah.
And I love wool. A big fan. Do you find yourself gravitating towards different types of fabric in the fall versus other seasons?
Yes, I think fall and winter kind of together.
Yeah.
I think I sew with similar fabrics in fall and winter and then different fabrics in spring and summer for the most part. I definitely feel like, again, wool is a big one for me. I also really like making outerwear at this time of year. So that's another thing that, those heavier fabrics, you have a reason to break those out. What about you?
I definitely think in the fall and winter, I gravitate towards more textural fabrics than I do in the warmer seasons. Texture a lot of times is inherently warmer because it traps warm or body heat against our body a lot more effectively. So it's for practical reasons. And also I love mixing textures, and fall's just, I think that goes with the fall vibe very, very well. Speaking of texture, what's the coziest thing in your current wardrobe that you sewed?
The thing that comes to mind is I made this Jill Coatigan, which is one of our patterns. It's kind of a big, oversized knit coat/sweater. And I made it in a boucle knit. So it's like a really heavy boucle knit. So it has the look of a coat, but it's soft and cozy like a sweater. And I think that's the coziest thing I own. You can just bundle up in it and stay warm. And at the same time, I just feel like I'm wearing a blanket. So I love that. And it's actually really easy to sew. It's unlined since it is a sweater coat. And if you make it in a heavy knit, it's just so nice. I actually have a black wool boucle knit in my stash right now. I think maybe I'll break that out for winter and go be nice and black too.
Ooh, that sounds lovely. I also have a very cozy Jill. But the first thing that came to mind is a Lex sweatshirt that I sewed out of like the softest sweatshirt fleece. I think it must have like a little bit of bamboo or something in it. But it's that, when you like take a really good shower or bath and then you want to put on something that's just like a hug.
Yeah.
It's that. It's that one that I always like reach for. When you do your laundry, it's like one of the first things you want to wear.
Yeah.
It's that. I just love it so much. It's like become like a comfort garment for me. I might need to make another one, maybe in the wintertime. Are there any fall fabrics that intimidate you or that you've been wanting to try but you haven't tried yet?
This is a good question. I don't think there's anything necessarily that intimidates me with fall fabrics. One thing that I've been wanting to try that I'm not sure, I'm going to try and incorporate this, but I want to try to sew more with lace this fall.
Ooh.
I really like lace details on things, and I like the kind of lingerie details that are in style right now. I've always really enjoyed lingerie details in my clothing ever since I was a teenager and would buy, vintage slips at Goodwill and wear them as dresses back in the 90s. And so I was thinking about making a slip skirt and adding a really pretty lace on the bottom of it. And that's something I'm really excited about, which does require some special technique. So it's a little bit different from what I'm kind of been sewing in the fall, but I'm really excited about it. What about you?
I don't know if there's any that I'm like really intimidated by, not to like toot my own horn, but I feel like I've sewn like a lot of what there is to be sewn at this point. But something that sometimes I find myself avoiding is plaids. Not because I don't know how to match plaids, but because I'm like, as you all know, I hate cutting. And I'm like, do I really want to spend extra time in the cutting phase? Oh, there's not really been any garment, like plaid garment, that the desire to make it has outweighed my desire not to cut plaid. So, although the Orla skirt would look so cute in a plaid.
Oh, it really would.
So maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
I have like a really small houndstooth I've been eyeing. So maybe that one will win.
That sounds nice. I was thinking about making something in a houndstooth, but it's kind of funny. When you go through the design your wardrobe process, you have your different contexts that you're designing for. So it's how you sort of design for your own lifestyle. And one of the contexts for me is coming to work and filming videos. And I think houndstooth is very hard to wear on video. Yeah. It can kind of make your eyes hurt a little bit when you're looking at it.
That like moire effect.
Yeah. So I've been kind of avoiding houndstooth for that reason because I can't wear it in videos and that's where I dress up. The rest of the time, I don't really have anyone to dress up for.
This is why we do design your wardrobe.
All right, well, let's get into the fabrics. We're going to start with, we got 10 to go through, so we're going to go through these kind of quickly, but we're going to share some tips for each one and some ideas for each one. So hopefully this gets your creative juices going. And the first one is corduroy. So corduroy is basically a cotton fabric with raised edges ridges called wales that are running in one direction. And what I love about corduroy is how it adds instant texture and a lot of visual interest to pretty much any garment you're sewing. It's also incredibly versatile. You can find everything from fine baby cord to wide wale corduroy. So it's in a bunch of different weights. You can get different looks with it. And I've used it for a lot of different projects. The best thing about corduroy for fall is that it has this perfect weight that's not too heavy, but it still feels very substantial and warm. So corduroy was traditionally used as kind of a workwear fabric. So it has a lot of strength to it and a lot of heft to it. And it's great for, even though it looks kind of, I don't know, I think it looks a little bit fancy in a way because of the nap to it. It's also a very strong workwear fabric that works in a lot of different contexts. So for projects, think about anything where you want structure, but also comfort. So pants, skirts, jackets, even dresses that have some structure to them. And right now, what I'd sew with it and what I'm planning to sew with it right now is my favorite jeans pattern, which is the Chelsea jeans. I just love the 70s style and those patch pockets. And I've made them in corduroy before. I think they look amazing in corduroy. And I'm really excited to make them again in corduroy. And it's just been really rewarding to have a jeans pattern I love and that I can make in denim, twill, canvas, corduroy, lots of different fabrics, and feel great about it each time. But corduroy is one of my favorites. I've also made the ginger skirt, which is an older pattern from Colette Patterns, and I made a mini skirt version of it, so I just shortened it, and I made it in a white corduroy, which I wear a lot in the spring. And I absolutely love it because it has a chevron. It's cut on the bias, so you get that chevron effect from the corduroy. And that's a really fun thing. You can play around with the wales of the corduroy to create different visual effects, which is really cool.
Yeah, just make sure you don't cut one piece in the wrong direction like I did when I was making my first corduroy skirt ever years and years ago. All right, for our next fabric, we have Ultra Suede Scuba Knit. So Ultra Suede is a really amazing synthetic fabric that feels like suede, but it's like way easier to care for. Holston was very big on Ultra Suede. And then Scuba Knit has a similar hand, but with more stretch. It's thick, it's stable, but it has that like comfort of knit fabric. But now you can find a combination of these two fabrics. It's a suede scuba knit. It looks a lot like suede, but it has the stretch of a knit. Another great thing about this fabric is that it does not fray. So your seam finishes are really incredibly easy. You don't even need to finish them if you don't want to. It also has a luxury feel that makes simple garments feel really elevated. It works beautifully for structured knit pieces like jackets, skirts, and dresses where you want like really lovely clean lines. The stretch in scuba knit makes it perfect for fitted garments that you still want to feel really comfortable and be able to move really well in. The pattern that I think would work really great with a suede scuba right now is the Ula dress. I love a pinafore style dress in this fabric, and the double-breasted Ula would look really great with that texture. I think it would like have a little nod to vintage style without being like too on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
One thing to be aware of is that it can be helpful to top stitch the seams with scuba knit because it's synthetic. Therefore, it's hard to press really crisply. So top stitching kind of can be a stand-in for a good press on this.
Yeah, I made the Danny pinafore dress in a suede scuba knit, and I absolutely love it. But I've actually been thinking about going back in and top stitching all the seams because they are a little bit bubbly.
Yeah.
Just because you can't get a good press on them. The next one, sort of similar to corduroy, is velveteen. So velveteen is like velvet's more casual cousin. It's usually cotton-based, but it does have that gorgeous soft pile to it. And it just adds this immediate richness to any garment, and it's perfect for fall and for winter. So kind of like corduroy, but a little bit more dressy since it doesn't have that workwear association that I mentioned that corduroy does. It's also much easier to work with than true velvet because it's more stable and it's less slippery. So think about velveteen for special occasion pieces, but also for everyday things like skirts or tops where you want something that feels just a little bit luxurious. I think it would look great for overalls too. Corduroy overalls are really cool. I've seen some really beautiful velveteen ones as well that just look a little bit more luxe than your average pair of overalls. Make sure to pay attention to the nap when cutting. But once you get the hang of that, it's really not difficult to sew. One thing I'd love to make in velveteen right now is a quilted jacket, like the Basil quilted jacket, which has that jacket liner kind of look to it. Actually, I cut out an Easton jacket a few years ago in velveteen and I never finished it. So I have it sitting in a bag, and that's one of the projects I might return to this winter because I think it would look really, really amazing in velveteen.
Oh, yeah. I love like the added texture of the quilting. I think that looked fantastic.
Yeah, I was thinking about even doing some free motion quilting on it, which I'm
cute.
brand new to. I don't really know very much about it, so I'd have to learn.
Well, speaking of texture, this one is another great textured fabric, and that is flannel. So flannel is typically a cotton fabric that's been brushed to create that kind of soft, fuzzy surface. That makes flannel really perfect for fall because it's really cozy against your skin, but it's not too warm for layering. It drapes really beautifully and it makes it perfect for flowing garments. I think sometimes people think of flannel and they think of plaid flannels, which of course there are plenty of plaid flannels, but there's tons of solids and like a huge variety out there beyond plaid. I love using flannel for pajamas. Obviously, it's such a great choice for that, but it's also gorgeous for everyday pieces like button-ups or for more flowing skirts. One thing to watch for with flannel is that it can really pill over time, so quality matters a lot here. When I buy flannel, I make sure that I'm investing in a good quality fabric. That really makes a difference. You can look closely on like the backside at the weave and look for flannels that have a little bit more close weave to avoid something that's really going to deteriorate over time. One pattern that I think would be so lovely in a flannel is the Desi skirt, which is like a flowing bias cut skirt. I would probably line this to prevent any static cling, which is a danger with flannel. But I think like a solid flannel or even a wool flannel, you can find variety of fiber contents with flannel, would be really lovely with Desi.
That would be so pretty. I think the Everly skirt, which is a 2-layer shorter bias skirt, would also be really, really pretty. You could do a solid and a plaid or 2 different solid colors.
Oh, that would be so cute.
Or just 2 plaid. There's a lot of ways you could make that. Or you could do the underskirt portion as like the lining fabric to avoid that static cling problem, which I think would be really, really nice. And it's a really easy. I've made that skirt over the spring, and it's so easy, so fast.
Yeah, both of our bias skirts, Desi and Everly, are both like surprisingly quick sews.
Yeah, very quick.
It was almost like we planned it that way.
All right, the next one is a tried and true, which is denim. And I know denim might seem like an obvious choice, but I think it's really underutilized for fall sewing beyond just jeans. So denim comes in so many different weights and washes now, from light chambray weight all the way up to a heavy selvage denim. And what I love about denim for fall is how it works for both structured and relaxed pieces. For fall, I'm really drawn to lighter to medium weight denims for those kind of more feminine pieces. And I love the idea of sewing something that's a little bit more femme in one of those light denims, maybe like a dress or a skirt. There's something just really so chic about unexpected uses of denim that goes beyond those typical jeans and jackets. That said, I do really love patterns that are designed for denim and have all those classic denim details, like the Leonora skirt, which is a button-up skirt that's really designed for denim. I've been wanting to sew that skirt for years. The only reason I haven't done it is because I already have a denim mini, button-up mini that I really already like quite a bit. So I haven't had a reason to make another one. But it's so cute, and I do really enjoy the process of sewing denim details, all the top stitching, the notions, all of it. It's very satisfying to me. But there's just so many uses for denim. And you can I love designs where you kind of think outside the box with denim. You can kind of take a design that maybe you wouldn't think of in denim, and it looks completely different when you do make it in denim. It's one of the things I love about this fabric.
I love a denim dress for that reason, because like the juxtaposition of like the more utilitarian fabric and like, something a little bit more girly is so fun.
And it goes with everything, which is great.
I'm team denim all day long. All right, our next fabric is wool crepe. Wool crepe has this really beautiful drape and slightly kind of crinkly texture to it. It's one of those fabrics that just like screams elegance. It screams expensive, but it's also like really incredibly practical. The best thing about wool crepe, I think, is how well it travels. It does not wrinkle very easily, and it has a tendency to really hold its shape well. It's also nice and warm, so it'll definitely take you into the winter season as well. It's perfect for dresses, skirts, trousers are phenomenal in wool crepe. Anywhere where you want something to look polished, but also feel really comfortable. The weight is usually perfect for layering, so you can wear it on its own in early fall or layer it under sweaters and stuff later. If I were to sew something in a wool crepe today, I would definitely choose the Merit pants, which is a wide leg pleated trouser that we have. It has just the right amount of like body and drape that it would be so perfect in wool crepe, and the pleat would hold and the leg cut would hold its shape really beautifully in that fabric.
Oh, that would be so pretty. I love those pants. I've been meaning to make a pair of wide leg pants for quite a long time, and I just love that pattern.
They're really elegant, and I think it matches the like high-end nature of wool crepe.
Yeah. And I like that wool crepe also comes in a lot of different colors, and it tends to hold color very well.
Yes.
So you can get some really beautiful colors. The next one that we wanted to share is wool coating. So wool coating is exactly what it sounds like. It's the fabric that's used for making coats. And it's usually quite heavy and structured with really excellent insulating properties. And what I love about wool coating is how it holds its shape so beautifully and gives you that really gorgeous tailored finish. So it's perfect for outerwear, obviously, but you can also use it for structured skirts or vests depending on the weight of it. There's definitely some that are so heavy that really they're only meant for coats and would be difficult to use for, say, a skirt, just because the seams would become quite bulky. But there are definitely some wool coatings that will work for those applications as well. So you want to pay attention to the weight a little bit. The thing about wool coating is that a little goes a long way. Even a simple pattern can look really impressive in this fabric. So I keep thinking about making the bay coat. It's just this really classic design that would be perfect in a beautiful wool coating. I love the sample version that we made that you can see on our website, which is in a brown wool coating, and it's so beautiful. It's one of my favorite sample pieces that we have in our closet here, and I would love to do something similar, maybe in a brown or in a camel color. We're lucky enough that we have Pendleton Woolen Mills nearby here in Portland, and you can find some really incredible wools there in really vibrant, beautiful colors. It would be fun to really just find a beautiful color, a beautiful pattern to make a coat like that.
Yeah, I feel like a classic overcoat design like that is all about like choosing the perfect fabric and finding that balance of like classic and also something a little fun.
Yeah.
All right. Our next fabric, which I'm so excited to talk about, is merino jersey. Merino jersey is a knit fabric that's made from merino wool, and it's honestly just like one of the most luxurious fabrics to wear. If you take anything away from this episode, it is go buy some if you're looking to splurge. It's so beautiful. It's incredibly soft. It's naturally temperature regulating, and it doesn't retain odors in the way that synthetic fabrics can, which is one of the reasons that a lot of like athletic wear companies or outdoorsy companies will make their pieces out of merino jersey, because it's really great for the needs of those activities. What makes merino perfect for fall is how well it works for layering. It's not bulky, but it still can be very warm. It's also naturally wrinkle resistant, which makes it really great for traveling as well. I love merino for those foundational layering pieces. So think fitted long sleeve tops, turtlenecks, simple dresses that you plan on layering. I think that the Nina dress would be perfect in merino wool jersey. It's a fitted below the knee turtleneck dress that's great for layering. We have one in the closet that is actually shortened into a top, but it's probably everyone who tries it on, every model who tries it on is obsessed with it and wants to buy it. And I say, no. Sorry.
You have to make it.
You have to make it. You have to learn to sew, and then you can have it.
That's how we convert people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a fantastic pattern. That would be great in merino wool. I think that would be so nice. The next one is a French terry. So French terry is a knit fabric with loops on the backside that create this wonderful texture and warmth to it. It's like the sophisticated cousin of regular sweatshirt fabric. It has that cozy comfort, but it looks a little bit more polished. And what I love about French terry is how it's casual enough for loungewear, but it's also nice enough to wear out. So it's perfect for cardigans, for hoodies, even dresses where you want comfort, but still want to look put together. And the thing about French terry is that it usually has great recovery, so garments hold their shape really well. So I'd love to find a French terry in a really gorgeous color and make a V-neck cardigan like the Lisa. I've made the Lisa before in a bulky rib knit, which I really, really liked, but I think it would look great in a French terry and be so, so comfortable.
Yeah, like a little more dressed down version.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Lisa cardigan. It's one of my favorite knitwear patterns of ours. Well, speaking of sweaters and cardigans, number 10 on our list is sweater knits. Sweater knits are those really wonderful textured knit fabrics that look like they've been hand knitted. They're often knitted with larger threads, and that makes it so that you can really see the texture of the knit. They often have interesting stitch patterns, cables, or texture that's built like right into the fabric. What's amazing about sweater knits is that you get all of the visual interest of a hand knitted sweater without actually having to knit it if you're an impatient person like me. I learned how to sew before I learned how to knit, so my patience for knitting is not as great as I wish it was, which is why I sew with sweater knits. They're perfect for simple patterns because the fabric itself provides like a lot of design interest. So I love them for dressing up those simple pieces. Think about like basic pullover shapes, cardigans, even skirts where the fabric texture is the star of the show. The key with sweater knits is to let the fabric be the focal point and to keep the design lines really, really clean and simple. I think that the pepper turtleneck sweater is a really great pattern that's perfect for sweater knits. Sari, I know that you've made one in a sweater knit.
Yes, this is one of my favorite things that I made last year, which was Pepper's a beautiful turtleneck, but very, very simple lines. And I bought this cherry red cashmere sweater knit on Etsy and made it. And it is so soft and so comfy and luxurious. And it looks like something I would have hand knit. So, but it took me only, a day. So I love that. I love sewing with sweater knits. It's a great way to add knitwear into your wardrobe. I love to knit as well. And I'll spend months and months making a sweater. That's fine with me. But it's nice to be able to whip something up too.
Yeah.
All right, so we covered 10 amazing fabrics for fall sewing. Corduroy for that perfect textured casual look, ultra suede scuba knit for easy luxury, velveteen for special richness, flannel for cozy comfort, denim for unexpected elegance, wool crepe for polished drape, wool coating for structured warmth, and merino jersey for layering, French terry for elevated comfort, and sweater knits for instant texture. My big takeaway is that fall is really the perfect time to experiment with new fabrics because they tend to be more forgiving and they have such beautiful textures. There's just something about working with these richer, more substantial fabrics that makes the whole sewing process just feel really luxurious. I also like that you can take something that's very simple in design and make it feel really special with all that texture. I think texture is one of my favorite things about sewing. What about you, Haley? What's your takeaway?
I think that my takeaway after talking about all of these lovely fabrics is that I think it can be really easy to sew with the same fabrics over and over again. I think that's human nature to sometimes choose the path, what's familiar. It's a path of least resistance. And also just from a practical point of view, a lot of us have a couple fabric stores that we go to that specialize in a handful of things. And it can be really nice to take a little bit of time to research fabrics, to get some inspiration from shops that you normally don't shop at, from ready to wear, and like bring a little bit of like some interest, some texture, something different to your sewing queue, because you never know when you might like discover your new favorite.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think we all tend to do that from time to time, and it's nice to break out. And if you want to dive even deeper into sewing with wool this fall, we named a bunch of wool fabrics, and wool is one of my favorite things to sew with in the fall. Be sure to check out our YouTube video this week, which is all about sewing with wool. Not only does it have tons of great advice for sewing with wool, but we even put together a free cheat sheet that you can download to go with it. So visit our YouTube channel at Seamwork Video to see it, and be sure to subscribe while you're there. And if you like this episode, you can leave us a review. If you have a question for us that we can use for an icebreaker in a future episode, you can leave it in a 5-star Apple review. We'll use it in a future episode. You can also follow us on YouTube at Seamwork Video. You can follow us on Instagram at Seamwork. And if you'd like to become part of the Seamwork community, head over to seamwork.com to learn how to join. And that's it for us this week. I'm Sari.
And I'm Haley.
And this is Seamwork Radio.